Hi, friends. Welcome back to the channel. It has been a hot minute since I have recorded. I had gotten really ahead on content for some time, and then just a confluence of things happening, life happening. I have fallen off, and I really actually don't even know if this will go up, when this will go up. I typically post on Fridays, and maybe I will throw this up later today, depending on the amount of editing that I have to do. Maybe this will never see the light of day at all, but I just wanted to jump on and share a few things that have been going on, and specifically something I've been struggling with, I think, really since the beginning of 2025. And I do think this is top of mind for me because I do cover a lot of self improvement topics on this channel, mainly things to do with personal finance and career and improving your finances, your money situation, growing your career. But I've also talked a lot about how I'm just trying to improve my habits, take better care of myself, eat better, meal prep, get more sleep, get more exercise. And so it really kind of runs the gamut around here because this is kind of a lifestyle channel. And so we talk about all of the things that are going on in life. And I feel like it's not uncommon for people to have a lot of different things that they want to work on or improve in their life. And that is certainly the case for me because I think the last couple years, and really since 2020, things have just been, you know, a struggle. And I think for a lot of people, there is still a struggle to return to habits that we may have had, to return to like a lifestyle we may once have had. Life looks fundamentally different than it did in 2019 for many of us, anyway. And so I think that's normal and understandable. And it has certainly taken me a lot of time to, figure out like, how do I take care of myself now that life looks very different? And I do want to caveat this and say, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with self improvement. There is nothing wrong with looking at yourself in the mirror and reflecting honestly with yourself about things that you might want to change or things that would make your life much better if you could, improve a certain habit or discontinue a particular behavior. I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with that. But I will say that I think the culture around self improvement, and I think it's gotten so much worse actually since 2020, the culture around self improvement is so toxic. It's so ridiculously toxic. And I think that's for myriad reasons, which I won't go into. This isn't like a commentary video, although that would be an interesting one to do, critiquing, the self improvement realm. But I think it's gotten so toxic because really at the root of it is like an aspiration for perfection and this idea that everything needs to be optimized. Absolutely everything we do in life needs to be optimized, from our sleep routine, our bedtime, the time we wake up in the morning, how we wake up. Do we wake up to a light? Do we wake up to an alarm? Like, how many hours of sleep did we get? How much deep sleep did we get? How much REM did we get? How much light sleep did we get? How can we tweak and optimize for that? Take a nice cold shower before you go to bed. Take a magnesium supplement. Use a magnesium spray. Spritz a little bit of essential oil or lavender on your pillow. Like, and that's not even like, that's the beginning. It's a lot, and it's optimizing everything from your sleep routine to your fitness routine to your diet to your habits to, like, I feel like every little, parcel of your day, every 15 minutes of your day is essentially scheduled out and allocated in a very particular specific way. And quite honestly, I think this is just a recipe for misery. And I've found that, in all of the times where I've tried to lean too hard into that optimization, I'm absolutely fucking miserable. I'm just miserable. And I think in 2025, I've really been struggling trying to strike that balance of, there are things I know I need to change in my life. There are things that I am just fed up with, habits I know I need to break, things that I know, just, if I'm looking at myself in the mirror, I don't want this to still be happening a year from now or 5 years from now. There are definitely things I need to deal with. I also think that every time I move into like a really rigid routine to try to address some of these behaviors, and I'm really adamant about every day, I'm meal prepping, I'm cooking at home, I'm getting my workouts in, I'm getting my steps in, I'm using my meditation app, I'm taking the cold shower, I'm doing all of the things. I just end up spiraling. It's horrible for my mental health. And I think it then actually makes me rebel. It makes me lash out and disregard my habits for the next couple weeks. And it's like, you know what I'd much rather do tonight? Order in trash food and drink a bunch of wine. And perhaps that's what I then end up doing. Because this rigidity and this like relentless need to optimize every single part of our lives feels so suffocating. It feels so suffocating. And I really do think that to accomplish things in life, you need some degree of routine. I really firmly believe that. I think it's really hard to accomplish, diet goals, fitness goals, business goals, all kinds of goals without some degree of stability day to day, without some plan, without some degree of time blocking. That doesn't mean every single day needs to be, very specifically scheduled out down to every last minute. And it doesn't mean that every day needs to look identical. But I do think there needs to be like some degree of routine if you want to accomplish, certain goals, if you want to lose weight. There is a lot of planning that goes into that, into being able to execute the things that are required to lose weight and keep it off. It requires planning. And so I definitely can recognize that there is some degree of that, but I just think we've absolutely lost the plot with like how much we optimize. And I think actually that's something that I feel a little bit of nostalgia for as an, I think, like elder millennial, where I reflect back on my 20s and I wouldn't change it for anything, because I think it was such a perfect balance of, like I took care of myself and I hit the gym. We would go for runs. And then, yeah, sometimes I would like go to the bar and have a bunch of vodka Red Bulls and like stay out until 3 in the morning and, bum a couple cigarettes outside of the bar and then go get poutine at like 4 in the morning and be an absolute wreck for the rest of the weekend. And then, go to work like pretty tired and wrung out on Monday morning. And, and then you kind of get back on the horse and you hit the gym again and you meal prep a bit for the week. And like, yeah, I mean, there was like, I think, a balance to it that I feel such strong nostalgia for. And maybe this is just my own observations of Gen Z. I don't see like the same kinds of like behaviors, which I think, so, again, some of it is good. Like I think Gen Z is drinking less. I think the statistics show that. And like in some ways that's probably a really good thing. But then in other ways, I'm like, it was really like that lack of optimization culture that gave, I think, us that freedom in the aughts, in the 2010s, to just kind of like live life, do your best. Good enough is good enough. I really stand by that. I really think that, like as long as you're kind of eating okay, like most of the time, that's fine. I think having a cigarette once in a blue moon, not really a big deal in the grand scheme of things. I think what's probably more damaging is the fact that nobody has friends anymore. Nobody goes out anymore. Nobody has community anymore. Everyone is cripplingly lonely, cripplingly anxious. But really, I think it just boils down to like lack of community is how I would sum it up. And, for all the imperfect decisions I made in my 20s where like, yeah, did I have like a perfect sleeping routine? God, no. Did I have a skincare routine? Absolutely not. Did I even use sunscreen really until I was like 30? No, not so much. Was I like budgeting and being super responsible with my money? No. And I agree that I probably could have done better with some of those things, and maybe there could have been more balance. But also, it was like this lack of attachment to optimization and feeling like I had to optimize every little thing that allowed me to make friends and travel and go out and connect with people and meet new people and date and have so much fun. And I just feel like that's so absent now. Everything feels so gray when we're looking at it through the lens of optimization culture. Like this, I can't come out tonight. I have to stay home and do my like 10-step skincare routine. It's like, okay. I mean, and like sometimes that's valid. Sometimes you need time at home to recharge. Sometimes you just want to have like, a little night in and just do a little self care and like chill and order in and, like nothing wrong with that. But I think we've like gone too far the other way. And it's like, really, in the grand scheme of things, what's the point of having like a perfectly optimized skincare routine? Like it doesn't really matter. I I hope we all know that. Like that doesn't matter. And good enough is good enough. Like I slap retinol on my face a few times a month. I'm almost 38. My skin looks fine. And I wear sunscreen now and I do my best. But in the grand scheme of things, me having a perfect skincare routine, like I like it and it's fun and I like skincare products and, I try to do it when I can and when I remember. But, like sometimes I'm out late and I'm too tired when I get home. Sometimes I wake up late in the morning because I've had a really fun night the night before. Or sometimes I would rather snuggle with my dog for an extra 20 minutes before I have to get up and start my day. And that is life. Like it's those moments. It's the going out, the maybe getting to bed later than you planned, the snuggles with the dog. Like maybe it's taking that little bit of extra time with your spouse, with your kid, with whoever, with your loved ones, that time for yourself even to just, like lay there and breathe and just sit in like quiet, just like being alone with your thoughts. How often do we just like sit in silence now? And I feel like we're trying so hard to optimize every single second that every single second, and I'm guilty of this too. It's like every single available second. Like I'm listening to a podcast, I'm watching a YouTube video, we're listening to self-improvement audiobooks, we're doing all of the things. And it's like sometimes it's like, go outside and touch grass. Go outside and take a walk without headphones in, without listening to like listen to a bird chirp for the love of God. And I just I really don't know how and where I'm going to land with this, because I feel like it is valid to have things that you want to change. And I think that there are things in my life that I need to change and that I need to work on to actually really be the most thriving version of myself. And then I find myself feeling so suffocated by the culture of optimization and the culture of self-improvement that we live in now. And so I don't know how to strike that balance. I think this video is largely like thinking out loud, seeing if any of you have ever felt the same way. And if you have ideas, thoughts, suggestions, things that have worked for you in terms of like how to focus on self-improvement, but in a way that's not super toxic. And really, like, I think the tension I feel here right now is that, like, I don't want another book to read. I don't want another podcast recommendation. Like, I'm really just wondering if the answer here is just to let go of things a little bit more and really just focus on things like just be outside more, just sit in silence more, just like let my mind wander. And I feel like that would actually be really recharging, because as much as I'm asking for suggestions and like I genuinely would love ideas if you have them, if this is something you've struggled with, but also I feel like then that feeds into the very thing I'm talking about, where it's like, listen to this podcast, read this book. This book will change everything. This thing will, and it's like, I the constant need for reinvention and innovating in our own lives feels very strange and robotic and surreal. And I feel like it just makes me feel like life is a little sadder and a little grayer when I do that. And I think maybe the thing I need right now is just to have a little bit more fun, to go out and have some more of those spontaneous nights and go on fun dates and meet new people and go be outside this summer and go enjoy Toronto and go kayaking and go hiking and go see my friends and go do some little trips. And I mean, really just touch grass. I think that's what I'm saying here. But I am mindful of the fact that that then means, maybe that is going to hinder some of my progress towards some of my goals. Am I going to be able to hit my financial goals in the same way? Am I going to be able to hit my fitness goals in the same way? Um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any answers, but I just wanted to share this really openly today because I think I have just really been struggling so much with this like relentless need I see everywhere to optimize like everything. And I think it's so very toxic. So I just wanted to chat about how that has been showing up in my life, see if anyone else feels the same, and if you have any thoughts and reflections on that. And I just thought it was important to be transparent about this because we've come full circle going back to, the topics covered on my channel. I have just been having a hard time making some of the content I make because I feel like it is feeding into this self-improvement optimization culture. And even though I try really hard in this space to have balance, to focus on progress and not perfection, that's sort of the whole MO of my channel, is like getting better at things, getting mostly good at things, or getting good enough at things. I am still finding that I'm falling victim to the constant like social media onslaught of like self-improvement and just this constant messaging to optimize more and do better and do more and be more efficient. And I do feel that. I feel that pressure. But then every time I start to succumb to it a little bit more, it's just making me so miserable. And yeah, so I wanted to put that out there too, because I feel like it may be making it hard for me to make certain kinds of content about decluttering and cleaning, about money, about career, because I don't think life should be about relentless growth. I don't think life should be about constantly being on this upward trajectory. That's just not practical. And I think, I've been feeling so much how burnt out I am in the last few weeks. Like my therapist and I have really been working on it, trying to kind of like grapple with what's going on. And I think a lot of it has been mm, not self imposed because life just has been very challenging in the last couple months. But I think when things are chaotic, I then also layer on all this extra pressure on myself to like get back into a routine and to like get back on the horse and get back on track and then it just makes it way worse. A couple weeks ago, I started trying to make a spring cleaning video and I filmed a bunch of content and then I just crashed. I hit a wall. I was like, I'm just so physically exhausted and drained. And I was dealing with a situation at the time with someone that was just also like very emotionally draining. And so even as I was like making the content, I felt very distracted and all over the place. And I spent that whole weekend shooting content and kind of trying to deal with this, situation with this person. Um, which I was, like really emotional about. And so I finished the weekend just feeling absolutely drained. And then I was like, I don't think I even have it in me to finish spring cleaning. And also, further, what I probably really needed this weekend was just to slow down, was just to take care of myself a little bit more, honor the fact that after the last couple months I've had, I need rest. I need time to sit on my couch, snuggle my dog, watch things that make me happy, that make me laugh, read my book, sit in silence, take nice long hot showers, not spending the entire weekend cleaning the house from top to bottom, which is what I ended up doing. And so I feel like for me, there's just this inherent struggle where I don't honor my needs. And I think a lot of that is just because of the conditioning, of our world, of capitalism, of all of the content that we're exposed to all of the time. And I think I already do a pretty good job at minimizing that kind of content that I'm exposed to. Like, I don't really use TikTok or Instagram. I am on YouTube way more, but I already feel like I've tried to limit that exposure a lot, and it still infiltrates and it still penetrates. So I just wanted to share. Uh, Thank you for being here with me on this sort of more winding road today. I really just always love connecting with you, sharing what's going on, hearing from you all in the comments. So definitely let me know if this is something that you have experienced as well. I would love to hear about it. And I will always keep you posted on kind of how things are going, what I'm thinking for content. And, but just a heads up that things might shift a little bit while I'm in this season of life where I'm trying to figure out what this optimization balance is, because I really don't want to be in this headspace where I feel like I need to optimize everything, um, and end up completely miserable. So I will continue to share on this if it's of interest. I mean, let me know in the comments as well too if this is just something you want to hear me continue to chat about and talk about and discuss. Very happy to, continue touching on it in future videos if it's helpful. But thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you all so much, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.